setting up a patient advocacy council definitely takes time, and there's a lot of work I know that goes into that. But I think if you can do that, the return on that investment is huge. And it really, I think it would mean a lot to patients too, to get that feedback, especially limited English proficient patients that don't speak English. A lot of times are left out of things like patient surveys. And even things like, I want to be able to use my chart. I want to be able to send a message to my provider, but they don't let me do that in my language. That's a source of frustration for me, or it takes me so much longer to get an answer because I have to go through different channels. So yeah, getting patient feedback, I think, is huge.
You also mentioned getting feedback from the interpreters themselves, their feet on the street. How do you have a mechanism by which you do that regularly? Like, how do you harness that feedback?
I think within your department, within a language access department, having team meetings, creating an environment where the team feels that it's safe to come and talk to you about various issues is important. So last year we just established a monthly meeting. We do 1 hour once a month where we talk about ethical decision making. So actually we talk not just ethical decision making, but we call it case conferencing. So we have a case conferencing session once a month with any interpreter that can be there. If you can't be there, we record it, and that way interpreters can go back and listen to it or watch it. And we talk about what was challenging about that particular situation. It could have been that it was, a serious life event, and it was just really emotionally taxing. And the thing that we might talk about at that session is simply, how did you self-care? Or our interpreters right now with the political climate, we're seeing delays in care. We're seeing patients being more apprehensive about coming to healthcare systems, and talking about, a lot of our interpreters are integrated in the communities in which they serve. So talking about how that feels and what can we do, and how is your healthcare system handling, ICE, if ICE were to show up, talking about how do we handle that, and making sure that they're safe, that the interpreter feels safe, but also our patients feel safe. So creating an environment where interpreters have the chance to talk about some of the complex issues that they run across is very effective.
Yeah, that monthly meeting sounds like it would be fascinating to be a fly on the wall. It sounds really interesting.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be just you talking to your department, inviting your employee assistance department to come in to talk about what kind of counseling services we have, or something like that. You can invite other people inviting pastoral care to come and talk about. We had a whole conversation about the fact that interpreters sometimes feel uncomfortable about interpreting prayer in other languages, or prayer not in other languages, prayer in other religions that they're not a part of. And so having pastoral care come in and talk to your team about, how to do that effectively. Where's the balance? And just because you say it doesn't mean it's yours. So, yeah.